This book is priced at $4,000. It's quite rare. My name is Peter Mason. I'm the proprietor of the Hungry Traveller bookstore. So this book was printed in 1927 here in Singapore and published for a Singaporean colonial population. A number of recipes that have been adapted for local ingredients, as well as advertisements of companies that are still operating. For example, cold storage. There's others like Robinson's. What makes this book rare is there's not a lot of copies still available. But I also have a whole range of different items, including vintage menus, postcards, as well as maps. So this is an escape and evasion map. This encompasses Borneo, Sumatra. In the war, they printed them on rayon. And the idea of these maps was that the pilots and the soldiers could sew them into their uniform. They didn't make too much sound. So if they were captured, they could hide these cloth maps easily.
How much does this go for?
I haven't catalogued this one yet, but the last one I had went for over $900. Age doesn't necessarily dictate higher value, but once something becomes desirable, there is a premium that gets paid for that item. This little map of Belgium and the top of France is from 1593. Oh, it's so old, it must be very, very expensive, but of course it's not. This is neither rare nor desirable, so it's priced at $60 and it's 400 years old. Whereas I had a 1945 map of Singapore and not very common, and that was $4,000. I do have to visit a lot of book fairs. They are my reference in terms of rarity, costings as well. It gives me comfort that there are a lot of collectors here in Singapore. And it's not always about sales, it's about a shared passion.
It's quite old, huh? This book is pre-1947.
Love how they put the mountain ranges and the rivers, all the different rivers as well.
Just missing the dragons. I'm Reynold. I come to the store every few weeks or so, sometimes not even buy anything, but just enjoy the conversation.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you. So he knows very well what I like. Quite interested in the history of the Second World War, and here you have some aircraft which flew in that war. This, if I'm not mistaken, is the Swordfish torpedo bomber, which actually sank the Bismarck, the biggest German battleship in the Second World War. Spotted another book. 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. Now, I've read about this, but
Right.
This is a first-person account by Captain Lawson, who actually flew one of the bombers. I think the most valuable thing that Peter has ever gotten for me is the Straits Times Annual from 1968. As a Singaporean, it helps me to see Singapore as it was, the journey it's been on, which I haven't seen myself. Merdeka, the first decade, Singapore's second National Day, and it's also aesthetically beautiful and gives us a sense of so many stories from the region around Singapore.
So one of the challenges is sourcing. Most of the Singaporean material that I've got here in the shop, I've found overseas. We've got to remember that Singapore, that affluence that we enjoy today wasn't always the case 60, 70 years ago. People were just working to survive, feed their families, and get on with life. Often a lot of material, when somebody passes on, gets thrown out. This is the harbour looking onto the Fullerton. It doesn't exist anymore because it's now the Marina Bay. I don't know anyone that sends postcards anymore. Things that you're looking at in this shop will disappear. I've got old cruise ship menus from the 30s and 40s. The artwork on these is exquisite. Nowadays, you walk into a restaurant, you get a QR code. In 100 years or 200 years, there won't be a physical copy of that, which is quite sad. It does look like wood, doesn't it?
It does.
It's called a bookstore, but I don't think of it as a bookstore. I think it's more about a piece of history that you can enjoy, that you can engage with.